Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce Lucy Corbett from Community Development Partners. The project is in Manzanita. This is a 72-unit multifamily project in the Highlands area. Their request is for $125,000, and they have not requested or received Housing Production Solutions funds before. Lucy, welcome.
Thank you very much. And I believe Andy Shaw from Northwest Oregon Housing Authority is also going to be joining us. I don't see him yet, though. Let me just send him a quick message to make sure that he has the login info.
While she's looking at that, what is a lich application? LITCA? No. I was playing.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh,
Low income tax credit?
Low income housing tax credit.
gotcha. Not to be confused with the LIF.
Correct.
Okay.
I remind everybody that we are just terrible at acronyms and naming things in housing. It's just our big weak point. By affordable can mean many things.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, I sent Andy a message. Hopefully he'll be joining shortly, but would you like me to jump in? I know you guys are on a schedule.
Would you like me to bring your slides up, or are you able to share them?
I can try to share.
We can see it.
Great. And I'm just gonna see if I can advance. Is that working on your end?
It is.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm here to present Manzanita Heights, which is our working name for this project in Manzanita. And again, my name is Lucy Corbett. I am with Community Development Partners. And then again, hopefully we'll be joined shortly by Andy Shaw, the Executive Director of Northwest Oregon Housing Authority. This project is a partnership between our organizations. And we will present a bit about our organizations, our vision and goals for the project, where we are currently, and some more information. And then take your questions. Just check really quickly to make sure I don't see Andy yet. So I will just go ahead. So again, this is a partnership project between NOHA and CDP. This will be our third project that we will be doing together. The first two were Broadleaf Arbor, which is a project that was completed in 2023 and is in St. Helens. And then Owens Adair 2 is currently under construction in Astoria and is on track to be completed later this spring. And to give you a little bit of background on NOAA, NOAA is the Regional Housing Authority for Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook counties. They own 704 units of affordable rental housing and are have another almost 200 in their pipeline. That 50 currently under construction is the Owens Adair project that we are working on with them. They also operate the Housing Choice Voucher Program that serves over 1,200 low and very low income households and provide property management and resident services functions as well. CDP is an affordable housing development company. We were founded in 2011 and have offices in Southern California and in Portland. We began with developments just in Oregon and California, but have grown to develop now in Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Colorado. We partner with nonprofit organizations in some capacity on almost every project. So this type of partnership with NOAA is pretty common for us. We typically hold our projects for the long term. In the case of this project, we're actually acting as the development consultant for NOAA. So we will be taking the lead development role, and then when the project construction is completed, we will turn it over to NOAA for their long-term ownership and operation of the project. And then we have a strong focus on sustainability, ecology, and art, and that those show up in a pretty meaningful way in most of our projects. And we plan to incorporate those elements in this project. We're also a certified B Corporation. So for this project, our goals include providing workforce housing and affordable housing for Manzanita and the North Coast. To diversify the options and housing affordability levels in Manzanita specifically. Right now, there's a project under construction by Home First Development that is just adjacent to our project site, which will provide housing for households between 30 and 60% of AMI. We are intentionally providing some units at the 80% AMI level just to provide higher income and a more workforce focus in our project. And that's been informed by the housing needs analysis the county recently published, as well as other feedback we've received. And then also have a goal to just develop a cost-efficient model that could work in other communities like Manzanita, coastal communities, and other non-metro areas across the state. The project overview. So obviously we're in Manzanita, and you can see our site here is a uniquely shaped site, almost 8 acres. It does have a restrictive covenant that requires us to build a minimum of 68 units of housing at 120% of AMI or below. Our project is 72 units, so we're a couple units above that minimum. And it's located in the Highlands neighborhood, which is a newer neighborhood in Manzanita. It's largely single-family homes at this point, but it also includes that Home First development. And then our development will add even more multifamily affordable. We have site control currently, and the plan is to transfer site control, to NOAA, and then NOAA would purchase the site at our tax credit closing. Some features of our project. You can see a site plan here. So we have 3 residential buildings. They're all essentially the same footprint and unit mix in each of these buildings. And that's part of the concept for cost-efficient housing, is to be able to create this kind of modular building form that can be replicated quite easily. And then we also have a small community center, which you can kind of see at the corner there where the streets come together. So we've got 72 units, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. We also have a higher than required number of accessible units. And then we're also hoping to have the low embodied carbon program that the state is a new state funded program, but it's currently with the Department of Justice. So that is pending whether we'll be able to utilize that program. If we are, though, that would enhance the sustainability features of this project. We have 36 one bedrooms, so 50% of the units are one bedrooms, 27 two bedrooms, and 9 three bedrooms. Again, that unit mix has been informed by a lot by the housing needs analysis and the indication that there are just smaller households here in general. And so we do want to provide a range of unit types, but we're more focused on smaller households based on the data that we have seen. And again, we have 15 type A units, so that's a fully accessible units, 8 mobility accessible units, and then 3 vision and hearing units. So all of those percentages are at least double what we're required to provide. And then our income range here, we have 8 units at 30% of AMI, and we are planning to have those units have vouchers attached to them for additional rental support. 49 of the units are at 60% of area median income, and then 15 at 80%. And then just the corresponding income ranges for those AMI levels are shown here. These are based on the 2025 income limits for Tillamook County. The income and rent limits are usually published around spring, April, or May of every year. So these will change a bit soon for 2026. Here is just a overview of our proposed funding structure. So we are planning to apply for the 9% low-income housing tax credit through the state of Oregon. That application is due later this month, and that, if awarded, will provide the equity needed for this project and the substantial, bulk of the sources for the project. We're also, with that same application, going to be applying for LIFT funds, 1.1 million. The low embodied carbon grant, we have put that application in, and it's just in pending status, as I mentioned. We do plan to have a permanent loan, some deferred developer fee, and then the ORMAP funds, and that's a program that funds sustainability features through the state. And then the Tillamook County Housing Production Solutions Fund grant that we're discussing today. I'm showing that here, and that's a critical piece, and I'll talk a little bit more about why that's so important. And then just the breakdown of hard costs, land costs, soft costs that make up our uses on the right-hand side. So just a little bit more about the grant, your grant through Tillamook County, and why that's critical to this project. While it's a small proportion of the overall sources that we need, it has the potential to unlock that tax credit award that I was mentioning. So that is over $18 million potentially in funds, tax credit equity, and also the state lift funding. And that is because that application includes points for local support of $100,000 or more, and it's one of their tiebreaker criteria. So it could make a huge difference if we get into situation where we're tied with another project, if we can show that we have that local support. Not only is it great to just have that and be able to say that the county supports this project, but also could make the difference in our tax credit award. So really important, and we're happy to be able to present the project to you all today. A little bit about the timeline. So right now we are in our schematic design phase, which is our first of our 3 design phases. And then some of the renderings you see here are kind of showing where we've gotten to so far with the design. We are a few weeks away from submitting our pre-application to the city of Manzanita, which will be kind of kicking off our land use process. So we will follow that with a formal land use application and then building permit application to the city. The 9% tax credit application is due on the 25th of February. Those awards are expected in June of this year. And then if we are awarded, we're hoping to start the project as early as the end of this year or early 2027 with about 15-month construction duration. And that wraps up my slides. I'm not sure if Andy was able to join. I've been looking at the slides here. Sorry, I heard something, but I don't think it was Andy. No. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the project. And thank you again.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, it's a great project. Like your cost per unit, like the way you put this presentation together. Those low-income housing tax credits are the key to everything, and that's, I understand that our contribution provides that leverage. That's great. In your pro forma, you've got a couple of numbers here that I'm not familiar with. One of them is payroll expenses, $125,000. Will you have a full-time person there? And what role will they play?
So we do expect to have on-site property management staff and resident services staff. And in terms of their number of hours at the property, I don't think we've quite, finalized that, but we do typically, our rule of thumb is provide a full-time manager for every 75 units. So we're at 72 units, so I would expect we probably have a full-time manager and at least, I'm not sure if we do full-time maintenance, but we would definitely have a maintenance staff also included in our property management staffing. So that person will be staffed in the community center. We have 2 offices in that building, as well as some kind of more flexible workspace. And they're just there to, oversee the property, obviously, provide leasing services, answer questions or help residents if they have issues with their units. And then we are planning to contract with Cornerstone for our resident services, and they're currently also going to be providing resident services for the Home First development, which is just across the road from us. So we think that they'll have some really nice synergy, given that they're already in the area.
What do those resident services, what is it comprised of?
So Cornerstone Services, they provide a number of different functions, but they have health and wellness programs, they have youth development programs, financial stability programs, and then kind of just events. So, just providing community events. So they provide kind of a wide range of services from, I think, helping residents just with their stability in housing and making sure that they're retaining housing and, promoting upward mobility, but also creating sense of community through on-site events and youth programs. I think they have a food and nutrition set of programs too. So they provide a diversity of options.
Thank you.
So you had mentioned that some of the 8 units that were at 30%, were going to have HUD vouchers. Are all of those 8 going to have HUD vouchers? And then is there a requirement with the HUD vouchers to do some of those Cornerstone project, or like the things that you were just describing from Cornerstone? Does that tie into the HUD voucher requirements?
So we are hoping to have vouchers for all those units so that they will, just provide that additional rental support for those residents at the very low income. And then I don't think there's any requirement that comes from the voucher to provide services, but we, definitely believe that it's important to have a service component for any resident, who wants to opt into those services. And obviously, different households will take advantage of those, and the ones that fit them, and they have interest in. So we would expect, it will vary by household, which programs they are interested in and, need. So they'd
Thank
be
you.
programs and services open to all levels.
Perfect. And I appreciate you looking at, again, that mixed use of both HUD vouchers house our most vulnerable populations within our community. So being able to go in and just have accessibility to a variety of AMIs is a really cool thing. So thank you.
My question, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know this, but when NOAA takes ownership, you still run the site?
No, so at that point, in this case, we will not. We are just acting as a development consultant, and then NOAA will take over overseeing property management functions, asset management functions, and long-term operations.
And at any point, can NOAA change the AMI ratio that is in the planning?
They would not be able to change it, they'll be entering into regulatory agreements that will set those levels for at least 30 years in this case, but potentially longer. And so I think they, would be able to voluntarily charge lower rents than the highest levels, but you couldn't charge higher levels of rent, if that makes sense.
My question was just if the low income tax credits could still potentially be available without the local match. But it's not exclusively contingent upon it.
Yeah, it really depends on It's not a requirement. No, it's just a tiebreaker to, as a part of the application. So it's very helpful because that, 9% tax credit application is quite competitive. So having, as many points as possible just puts us in the best position. But it's not a requirement to have a local match.
Are there any other local Tillamook County sources beyond us?
At
Have
this
you looked
point,
into the CCO? To the housing funding through the CCO?
we have not looked at that. I just recently became aware of that, so I will be looking into that more. The other source of funds that is tied to the county is that low embodied carbon grant, and that is a state fund, but it's allocated to Tillamook County. So we did apply through Tillamook County for those funds, and again, those are their status is just a little bit uncertain at this point.
It's the Merle, right?
No, this is
Sorta.
CERTA.
Oh, sort of.
And Lucy, just yesterday or the day before, I forget, we did get the DOJ approved contract documents from. DEQ.
Excellent.
So we'll be in contact next week to sort that out. And I'll just add for anybody who's not aware, B Corp is a beneficiary, benefit corporation. It's a for-profit enterprise that is committed to certain local values to make them, to identify them as socially aware.
Question, did you guys consult with the surrounding neighbors behind your development? Because I think that was a bone of contention with your adjacent neighbors, the
Yeah.
project going.
Well, we have not directly consulted yet. That's kind of that will be part of the process, through our pre-application and land use application. We'll be doing more public outreach. I will say we're purchasing the property from the Highlands original developers, and so they're very aware obviously of that neighborhood, and so we're grateful that they're looking to provide affordable housing and actually voluntarily put the restrictive covenant on this piece of land that restricts these units to 100%, or sorry, 120% AMI and below. So they are obviously aware that this project is being proposed, but no, we will be doing more outreach to the community as we start our public application processes.
So it's probably too early to know how tall the buildings will be. Because that is a local issue.
You can tell Mark is from Manzanita.
We know they're going to be 3-story buildings, at least that's what we're proposing. And so they'll be in the 30 to 35 foot range.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming and presenting to us today. And we are gonna wrap up this presentation, so thank you. And
Thank you very much.